Welcome back. Since we are celebrating World Radio Day, we close off the show by catching up with radio presenter at Touch FM, Rodelio Bonito Lewis. Apart from being a radio host, he's also an actor, dancer, MC, and commercial model. He now joins us via Zoom to talk to us about his journey as a radio personality. Rodelio, good evening and welcome to the show.
Good evening. How are you, Nina?
I'm good, thank you. How are you this evening?
I'm doing very well. Thank you so much for having me.
Rodelio, for those watching who may not be familiar with who you are, tell us who is Rodelio in a nutshell.
Well, I am a coastal boy who moved to Windhoek to pursue his dreams in the entertainment industry through activism, with acting, dancing, commercial modeling, and so much more. And I found myself in an amazing opportunity to also jump into the radio sphere, and I've never gone back.
You've been a radio host for over 7 years now, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
How effective would you say is this medium of communication?
Well, personally, I think if we can say it honestly, radio has stood the test of time. It is still the go to medium to disseminate information across the country and around the world. If there's ever a moment where people need to really get information across to everyone else, I think radio has always been the top tier platform to use when it comes to that specific purpose.
And what are the ways that you would say, Rodelio, that radio as a communication tool has evolved, over time?
I think what's very nice, and it's especially what I would like to highlight when it comes to what we do at Touch FM, is that radio isn't just one dimensional any longer. It's taken on a multifaceted approach where we now see that we have the visual option, we have the option where we can physically interact with people through social media. Our listeners don't have to just sit down and be imagining of what it is that we look like or what we sound like. They can have an interactive experience where it becomes so much more personal. And I think it's beautiful to see how in the past 7 years that I've done radio, radio has evolved in that short amount of time to really take technology to the forefront and allow it to advance radio to the next level. And we now see that radio is live streamed on our phones. We've got applications to listen to radio. We don't necessarily just have to use a frequency anymore. And I think that's what's really, really amazing about how radio evolves constantly.
Rodelio, how do you interpret this year's theme, which is Radio and Peace?
Radio and Peace, I think what's so beautiful about that theme is we've noticed a very big shift in the entire world, and specifically here in Namibia as well, where pushing for peace has really been at the forefront of not just personal aims, I think, but for a nation as Namibia, we've also pushed for peace on so many different levels when it comes to gender-based violence, when it comes to equality, when it comes to just any of these things that we as Namibians face in a day-to-day life. And radio taking on the theme of radio and peace, I think it's very fitting that we do it right after what's been happening around the world, because we all know that there is a war going on. We all know that there is a illness going around. We all know that there are so many things that are happening in the world currently that are really robbing people of their peace. And it's so beautiful to know that in this day and age, radio still has a platform and still has a podium where it can stand on and speak and bring light to people in terms of pushing the narrative of peace for all.
Just lastly, Rodelio, and very briefly, what do you appreciate most about being a radio host? And do you think that, radio hosts in today's day and age still holds the same level of importance as it did, years ago?
I think yes. It took me a moment. I was like, you know what? Yes, it really does. I think now more than ever, when we just look at how depression is high in our youth, and when we look at how difficult it is for people to actually have interactive communications with other people, radio kind of gives you that opportunity to break away from normal means of communication and know that there is someone and there is a place where you can go where like-minded ideas can be shared, like-minded music can be listened to, and conversations can be had that can actually stimulate you in a positive way and make you think of what it is that you want next for yourself.
Thank
And I
you.
think there's never going to be a point in time where radio won't be that. But thank you so much.
Rodelio, thank you for joining us. Unfortunately, we're out of time. We also end of this evening's show on that note. Do join us tomorrow night, same time and place. From myself and the team, good night. Thank you.